Hello, and welcome to this video course entitled, Is it possible to change? Yes, I can. I'm Tiziana Cambieri, registered dietitian. In this video course, we will focus on changing behavior and the winning conditions to make a change sustainable. We will look at different changes that people living with diabetes can apply into their own lives. For this course, a change is defined as a permanent change in a behavior or habit. A simple example would be a person who usually eats white bread, but who now eats whole grain bread. This doesn't mean that the person will never eat white bread again, but simply that their default choice is whole grain bread. Why is it so difficult to change? Change means going from the familiar into the unknown, which can cause stress. Stress is how you feel when you think you cannot deal effectively with a situation that you perceive as threatening. Stress is caused by events that you perceive as exceeding your abilities and a threat to your well-being. Stress involves two preconditions: the importance the person attributes to the event, and the perceived imbalance between the required response and the person's abilities. Limiting beliefs are often the cause of intense, unpleasant emotions. Limiting beliefs can cause obstacles for us and produce adverse effects in our lives. Being conscious of our beliefs can help us identify whether they are useful or limiting. Useful beliefs help us achieve our goals, whereas limiting beliefs reduce our chances of success. Limiting beliefs are an important factor in resisting change. Other resistance factors include fatigue, depression, anxiety, and anger, fear, such as the fear of being rejected, the fear of failure, or the fear of being judged, a lack of self-confidence, and a lack of resources or support. Motivation is an important factor in changing your behavior. For some time now, the philosophy of treatment of people living with a chronic disease has been to provide the person with the tools they need to manage their disease effectively and encourage them to do so. Motivation can be intrinsic or extrinsic. Intrinsic motivation is driven by the person's interest in, appreciation of, or satisfaction with the changed behavior itself. For example, if you run because you enjoy doing this activity, you are experiencing intrinsic motivation. Conversely, if motivation is extrinsic, the change in behavior is used as a way to achieve a goal. For example, if you run in hopes of losing weight, you are experiencing extrinsic motivation. Extrinsic motivation can be divided into four subtypes. External regulation is when a person changes their behavior to avoid punishment or to receive a reward. For example, if you avoid eating sweets to avoid being scolded by your dietitian, you are experiencing external regulation. In reality, I could assure you that dietitians never scold their clients or patients. Introjected regulation is when a person changes their behavior to avoid feelings of shame or guilt. For example, if you exercise because you feel you have to, or because you don't want to feel shame or guilt about missing a workout, you are experiencing introjected regulation. Identified regulation is when a person changes their behavior as a way to attain a goal. For example, if you stop smoking to live a healthier old age and to play with your grandchildren for longer, you are experiencing identified regulation. Integrated regulation is when a person changes a behavior because it aligns with their other values. For example, if you adopt a healthy diet because it aligns with your other healthy lifestyle habits, you are experiencing integrated regulation. Finally, amotivation is a term used to define a lack of motivation. Amotivation, external regulation, and introjected regulation are grouped together and called controlled regulation. Intrinsic motivation, identified regulation, and integrated regulation are grouped together and called autonomous regulation. Research has shown that people who use autonomous regulation to change a behavior are more likely to sustain this behavior for a longer period of time. This means that if you change a behavior for yourself or because it aligns with your other values or goals, you are more likely to have this change in behavior last for a longer period of time than a change in behavior that was driven by external factors. Here's a way to stack the odds in your favor to succeed in making a change. Choose one change that matters to you. Not two, not three, but one. You are more likely to succeed in making a change if you focus on one change at a time. Make sure to choose a change that matters to you, not to your doctor, your partner, or your children. We have just seen that changes that are driven by intrinsic motivation are more likely to become lasting changes. Be sure to choose a change that is relatively easy to achieve. Then, convert this change into a goal. Check in with yourself to see how confident you are in your abilities of achieving this goal. Goals are realistic if they have a confidence rating of 7 out of 10 or higher. Write down your goal. This increases commitment and motivation. Then make a plan. Choose a day for when you would like to begin making your change. Before you begin, identify any roadblocks or barriers that may arise and make a plan for how you can overcome them. Now let's look at another way to promote lasting change. Keeping a journal can let you monitor your progress in achieving your goal. You could write down in this journal any problems that arise and any emotions you feel. You could also take note of any medication changes, dietary changes, and blood glucose results. Even if you save your blood glucose readings in your monitor or in an associated app, it could be useful to note down these results in your journal so that you could see the effect that the change in behavior is having on your blood glucose readings. Rereading your journal and reviewing your journey increases self-confidence and motivation. When problems arise, you may feel as though you are failing. It's important to give yourself permission to fail. Research has shown that people who give themselves permission to make mistakes and who are more flexible in their approach to behavioral change are the most successful. To help cope when problems arise, you may need to ask for help. This can be support from colleagues, your partner, parents, or friends. At other times, you may need more professional help, whether it's from your regular healthcare team or a specialist like a psychologist. Another way to promote lasting change is to reward yourself. Combining goal achievement with a pleasant reward is a recognized way to encourage repeat behavior and stay motivated. Changing behavior requires energy, and I will not pretend that there will be no barriers along the way. Obstacles can be physiological, such as a lack of energy or fatigue, which can prevent you from achieving difficult goals. Barriers could also be psychological, for example, fear, defined as the perception of a danger, whether it's a real danger or more often than not, an imagined one, such as the fear of failure, the fear of rejection, or the fear of being judged. Ambivalence is when you are unsure whether the change in behavior will lead to the desired results due to insufficient analysis before beginning the process of change. A lack of conviction is when you do not attribute enough importance to the change in behavior. Finally, the more confident you are in your abilities to change your behavior, the more likely you are to succeed. Obstacles can also be social in nature. If your social environment is not conducive to change, it can make changing your behavior harder. If you lack resources or support, changing a behavior can be difficult, but not impossible. Limiting beliefs are substantial thoughts that hinder the process of change. Thinking you are incapable of change, too old or too young to change, are all examples of limiting beliefs. False beliefs can be problematic for people with diabetes since they're based on inaccurate and false information. Certain periods in your life may also be less conducive to change. For example, if you are in a state of crisis, if you are depressed, or if you are overwhelmed with work obligations, you may be more likely to reconsider making a change. At the beginning of the change process, you need to set a goal. We recommend using the 3 Ps approach to goal setting. In this approach, the goal is expressed in terms of the person who will make the change and in positive and precise terms. The first P is for the person, you in this case. The goal will therefore start with I. The second P is for positive terms. The goal will say what you will do, not what you will avoid or stop doing. The third P is for precise specifics. The goal will say what you will do, when you plan to start, how often you plan to do it, and at what time of day. Here are some examples. Starting on Monday, I will have a serving of vegetables at lunch and supper 5 days a week. Starting next week, I will take the time to enjoy and savor the food I eat. Starting next week, I will have fruit as dessert at lunch and supper 5 days a week. Formulating your goals this way will let you know in the future whether or not you have achieved your goal. Conversely, fuzzy goals like "I will not eat sugar" are not formulated using the 3 Ps approach. The person is not committed, the goal is expressed in negative terms, and there is no real way to know in the future whether or not the goal has been achieved. Now it's up to you. Identify a change that matters to you. Convert this change into a goal using the 3 Ps approach. Be sure that your goal has a confidence rating of 7 out of 10 or higher. Write down your goal in a journal and track your progress, and identify any potential barriers and make a plan for how you can overcome them. This course has been made possible with the financial support of Roche Diabetes Care, a division of Hoffman La Roche Limited.